about him very soon. In memoriam, I would like to welcome Jorge Sampaio. We will remember him forever. Welcome to Cascais and welcome to Portugal.
Thank you, Your Excellency, President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, for your commitment for fostering dialogue, understanding, and sustainable peace, which reflects the very essence of the values for which we are here today. The Alliance of Civilizations was formally launched in July 2005 as the initiative of the United Nations Secretary General. It is my profound privilege to introduce the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. António Guterres. Mr. Secretary General, you have the floor.
Most Excellent Professor Dr. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, President of the Portuguese Republic. I'm grateful to Your Excellency and to the Government of Portugal, represented by the Minister of State and Foreign Affairs, for your hospitality and for hosting this global forum of the Alliance of Civilizations. It would be remiss of me if I didn't also commend you on the decision to convene this forum in my country and in the beautiful municipality of Cascais. Portugal is a country that knows all too well the value of rapprochement and understanding between different cultures, civilizations, and traditions. I welcome the presence of His Majesty, King Felipe VI of Spain, and the sign of his commitment to the Alliance of Civilizations that his presence represents. Following the devastating floods that lashed the region of Valencia, I wish to convey to His Majesty, on behalf of the United Nations and on my own behalf, and I'm sure I do so also on behalf of everyone present here today, our deep solidarity with the people of Spain, and more specifically with the victims of this tragedy. I'm also pleased to have with us His Excellency the President of the Republic of Cabo Verde, Dr. José Maria Neves. With its history, identity, culture, and diaspora, Cabo Verde has a very critical contribution to make to our discussions and objectives around which we meet today. I also thank the governments of Spain and Türkiye and to the group of friends of the Alliance for their unstinting support and commitment. And I also thank the High Representative Miguel Moratinos for leading this initiative. On this occasion, I wish to pay homage to the memory of Jorge Sampaio, a friend, a statesman, a builder of bridges, and a champion of social justice. The commemoration of the 20th anniversary of the Alliance and the Forum today are also a tribute to the legacy that Jorge Sampaio left us from his tireless work as the first High Representative of the Alliance of Civilizations. I welcome all states represented here today. But above and beyond the presence of representatives and policy makers, I also recognize the participation of members of civil society, of youth groups, of religious leaders, and various other actors. Your dedication, commitment, and collaboration are crucial. Excellencies, my dear friends, we are living in difficult times. Unfortunately, in many places across the world, the social fabric is under intense pressure. We see shameless strategies seeking to sow divisions and deepening existing divides. We are witnessing a wave of xenophobia, racism, and intolerance, with social media being used as a powerful weapon. And these tensions are increasing on several fronts. Human rights are under attack. The climate crisis continues to worsen, and sectarianisms of all types are proliferating. Conflicts and wars stoke and exacerbate each of these threats I just mentioned. In such a scenario, we need peace. More than anything else, we need peace. Peace in Ukraine, a just peace in accordance with United Nations Charter, with international law, and with the resolutions of the General Assembly. Peace in Gaza, through an immediate ceasefire, the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and the effective and unfettered delivery of humanitarian aid, and the beginning of an irreversible process towards a two-state solution. Peace in Lebanon, with an immediate cessation of hostilities and the full implementation of Security Council resolutions. Peace in Sudan, with all parties laying down their weapons and embarking on a path towards lasting peace. Regardless of where we may be, the United Nations Charter must be upheld, as must be international law, including the principles of sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the political independence of all states.
Excellencies, the absence of peace is leading to an erosion of trust in the multilateral system, in societies, and in one another. Rebuilding trust is our essential task, and this makes the work of the Alliance of Civilizations more important than ever. I see four crucial areas where we must expand our efforts: in communities, online, across cultures and institutions. First, we need to build communities of trust and belonging. These are the foundation of more peaceful, just and resilient societies based on human rights and dignity for all. Building trust and cohesion cannot be done by governments and institutions alone. We need voices and actions across all levels, including grassroots organizations, marginalized communities, local authorities, and religious groups. The role of religious leaders is especially crucial. We need meaningful participation of women in decision-making, including in leadership positions. And we need to spotlight the vital voices of young people. I commend you for pioneering initiatives on strengthening the role of women as peacemakers. And I welcome the many alumni of your youth programs here today, including from the Youth Solidarity Fund and the Intercultural Innovation Hub. Second, we must rein in hate speech and disinformation spreading online. Hate-filled frenzies are perpetuating stereotypes and misconceptions. Misinformation and outright lies are fueling repulsive anti-Semitism, anti-Muslim bigotry, and attacks on minority Christian communities, among others. These are old tactics with a new medium. Unchecked digital platforms and artificial intelligence have endowed hate speech with a speed and reach unseen before. The worst impulses of humanity are given a megaphone, and many times they lead to violence. With the proliferation of deep fakes, the impossible and the unverified become credible in an instant. But we do have constructive ways to address these and other challenges. For example, through the United Nations Global Principles for Information Integrity, which have put forward recommendations for a more humane information ecosystem. Countries also adopted a major new initiative, the Global Digital Compact, which is aimed at fostering a safe and secure digital space that respects and protects human rights. And I also welcome the Alliance's Plural Plus, joint initiative with the International Organization for Migration. Through the initiative, young media and filmmakers explore the topic of migration and social inclusion and provide the counter-narrative to the negative portrayal of migrants and refugees. But the buck does not stop with these efforts. Big tech companies, advertisers, and media outlets must take responsibility for their role. The Global Digital Compact also emphasizes the importance of supporting cultural diversity in the digital space. And that leads me to the third area, working harder to fully embrace the role of culture and cultural diversity to advance all our goals. Societies today are multi-ethnic, multi-religious, and multicultural. And this diversity is a richness and our greatest strength, not a threat. Respecting and representing all cultures builds trust in society. And at the time of spreading hatred and intolerance, we must not only defend diversity, but we must invest in it. Harnessed effectively, cultural diversity can be a powerhouse of ideas and innovation. Fourth, rebuilding trust calls for institutions that are more representative. More representative institutions mean more effective institutions. Yet today, multilateral peace and security tools and the global financial architecture are products of a bygone era. The Security Council is outdated and frequently paralyzed. Meanwhile, the international financial architecture does not reflect today's economy and has become inadequate and unfair. We need to keep working to strengthen global governance, and that is precisely the central tenet of the Pact of the Future adopted by consensus at the United Nations in September. And it calls for decisive steps towards updating and reforming international cooperation to make it more networked, more fair and inclusive. And the Pact also reinforces the call of the Alliance for inclusive, just societies rooted in human rights, respect for religious communities and intercultural dialogue. Excellencies and friends, in these turbulent times, too many people are convinced that differences must define us. But the most powerful force of all is the recognition that we are more united by our common fate than divided by our distinct identities. And that is the essence of the United Nations and the raison d'être of the Alliance of Civilizations. Let's stand together with our shared faith in humanity. One planet, one human family, rich in diversity, equal in dignity and rights, and united in solidarity. I thank all of you for your leadership and your commitment.
Agradecemos as palavras do Secretário-Geral da...
We thank the United Nations Secretary General for his words. It's now time for us to give the floor to His Majesty the King of Spain, Don Felipe VI. You have the floor, sir. Your Excellency, Sousa, President of the Portuguese Republic, President of the Republic of Cape Verde, and all officials, Secretary General of the United Nations, António Guterres, ministers, High Representative of Alliance of Civilizations, Miguel Ángel Moratinos, members of the diplomatic corps, authorities, ladies and gentlemen, representing civil society here with us today. Allow me at the outset to thank Portugal and their President Rebelo for hosting this global forum of the Alliance of Civilizations in the city of Cascais. As you all well know, I am well known here. I keep a very close connection and great affection to this city, myself and my family. We couldn't find a better venue for this multicultural event with this city open to the sea with seashells. It's the openness to the sea and to the world, and a great part of what brings us together today, as Jose Almada Negrillo said, all words together form our universe. I also greet the Secretary General of the United Nations, António Guterres, and I thank him for his unstinting support to this political initiative led by the Secretary General since its inception, as well as High Representative Moratinos and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Türkiye, Hakan Fidan, who is here with us today, who co-sponsored with Spain this Alliance of Civilizations. It is a great honor to participate for the first time in the inaugural session of this global forum in its 10th edition under the banner United for Peace, Restoring Trust and Remodeling the Future. And I would like to share a few thoughts with you. We are no doubt living in a world of growing complexity, not only because of the open conflicts and wars where information of all types, whether it's helpful or not, or reliable or not, is coming in unimaginable volumes, and immediately they can propagate throughout the entire world indiscriminately. This reality, which we should not reverse, but rather submit. We shouldn't submit our capacity to understand and our critical thinking and our decision-making process. We should not subject any of that to this, but we must keep a close and unprecedented watch on these capacities and make sure that we participate fully in the political sphere and international relations. This is a world that is nourished by or fed by staggering change. And sometimes there is something lost in the small details of our relations as humans. There is prejudice, lack of trust, and bigotry. And if we don't take time and look carefully and with subtlety and sensitivity, we can find ourselves with open conflict that can affect populations in entire regions across the world. But with our traditional knowledge, and before this era, diplomacy was already hard work dedicated to making sure we had good information always available and clear ideas to work with respect to the conflicts that we were trying to deal with, whether they were open or concealed, and the objectives had to be clear around which we were working. And these are factors that are conditioned by technology, time and immediacy, social pressure, the transparency required of us, and the capacity for knowledge and leadership. And it is precisely now in this world of the 21st century where diplomacy is a tool of peace to seek understanding and to make sure there is harmony. And since time immemorial, it has always driven relations between peoples, and more than ever, we need diplomacy. It is true that the instruments of traditional diplomacy in and of themselves are not enough. They are still useful, and the proof of this is everything that was achieved through classic multilateralism for peace and global stability, but as diplomacy in its more traditional sense would say, it has to be supplemented with new spheres of action, new interlocutors and new challenges. It needs more boldness, more creativity, more pragmatism, without losing sight of immemorial values such as mutual respect. And we mustn't try to oversimplify things. And this is where preventive diplomacy comes in. It must be focused on intercultural dialogue, interfaith dialogue, such as we see here in the Alliance of Civilizations. It is very necessary that we raise our vision to better understand and more deeply understand everything that unites us, and it must be what drives us as humanity to seek the best for us on this planet that we are sharing. The Alliance of Civilizations is the implementation of what is known as the diplomacy of values. It is focused on people as the central axis, and it focuses its efforts on tearing down walls, building bridges, and sharing spaces to make this banner a reality and this slogan a reality. There are many cultures, but one single humanity. We must tirelessly seek to engage with civil society, especially foundations, academic community, and associations. And our action must go beyond these conference room and others and reach the public spheres, schools, places where people gather, and in the marketplace. And it is said the real space and the virtual space as well, including social media, is potential as a catalyst for projects and initiatives is clear in this forum in areas such as education, youth, migration, the media, sports, women as peace mediators. I don't claim to give you an exhaustive list, but let me just cite some of the initiatives such as the Youth Solidarity Fund, the Global Citizenry Foundation, or the Sports for Humanity program, which deals with this human ambit of sports for peace and preventing and countering violent extremism. And then there's a crucial role played by women in mediation in societies and their contribution to conflict resolution, which we need to showcase their role as women, such as alliances of women for peace and the role of women as peace catalysts, and the Central African Republic, Mali, and the DRC's initiatives in this area. These are just a few of these types of work being done through this alliance for the past 20 years to promote intercultural dialogue and tolerance for peace, which is only the beginning, and a great deal more needs to be done. As was once said by the winner of the Asturias Prize, who unfortunately died last year, knowledge is a wealth that can be transmitted without impoverishing oneself. We can eliminate stereotypes in this way. We can achieve a rapprochement and understanding between various regions and belief systems, and to affirm the supreme value of the human being as an individual, and to ensure that the great wealth of our diversity is actually and effectively beneficial and for everyone. In today's world, where the dehumanization is a latent risk, any effort invested in this diplomacy of values is and will always be a well-placed investment. Many thanks to all of you, and President.
Thank you very much, Your Majesty, for such inspiring words, and thank you for Spain's consistent political and financial support to the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. Türkiye continues to be a steadfast co-sponsor of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, demonstrating unwavering dedication to fostering dialogue and understanding among diverse cultures and nations. It is my distinct honor to welcome His Excellency, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Türkiye, Mr. Hakan Fidan.
His Majesty, Excellencies, dear participants, it is my distinct pleasure to address the 10th Global Forum of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations. Firstly, allow me to convey greetings and best wishes of President Erdogan for the success of this forum. I believe the discussions take place today will add to our global efforts towards building peaceful, just, and inclusive societies. During the past 2 decades, we held our forums in different parts of the world. This was a sign of our commitment to unity in diversity. Each city and each forum represented what we stood for. Our wealth and strength lie in our respect to our differences. Today, we are in Portugal to discuss our urgent problems and the best ways to address them. I would like to thank our host for their excellent hospitality and for their strong support to the Alliance. Let me also pay tribute to the late President of Portugal and the first High Representative of the Alliance of Civilizations, Mr. Jorge Sampaio. We'll always remember him for his contributions to Turkish-Portuguese friendship, as well as for building a solid foundation for the Alliance. I also would like to thank Secretary General Guterres and High Representative Moratinos for their dedicated services to the Alliance. Excellencies, Turkey and Spain launched the Alliance of Civilizations at a time when the international community was under strain due to rising polarization, intolerance, and discrimination. By taking this opportunity, I would like to also acknowledge, among the others, presence of then Prime Minister Zapatero. He, together with then Prime Minister Erdogan, were the originators of the Alliance of Civilizations. As the co-sponsors of the Alliance, we have always believed that we have far more in common than what we divide us. We strongly defended that we can work together to promote the values of peace, tolerance, and human dignity. And we had no doubt that the world can be united against violent extremism in all its forms. Our goal was to formulate a collective response to the divisive and destructive trends. The wide and diverse participation in the work of Alliance is a testament to its significance. Distinguished participants, today, after 2 decades since its formation, we need this platform more than ever. Global order is fragmenting and hatred is intentionally being fueled. Extremism, xenophobia, and racism are on the rise. The genocide of the Palestinians by Israel worsens these problems. It fuels a growing rise of hatred It fuels a growing rise of hatred among and within societies. We witness protests and scream of societies in different countries. We have never been this close to the clash of civilizations in real terms. That is a warning for humanity. The more we keep silent, the more fragmentation in the international system will occur. What we witness today demonstrates exactly what we underlined in the report of our high-level group in 2006. That is to say, we will not be able to reach a lasting peace globally without solving the problems in the Middle East. As long as tens of thousands of people, including innocent children, are killed in Gaza and millions of people are abandoned to hunger, deprivation, and death, there will not be peace on the horizon. Countries supporting the Alliance of Civilizations and its core values cannot remain silent to the humanitarian catastrophe taking place in Gaza. It is therefore no coincidence that the countries, those who want the peace in Palestine, are in this hall today. The ones who cannot even pronounce the ceasefire are in absence. The ones who lecture us on international law and universal values without respecting them are not in this hall today, because this is an alliance for peace. Peace not just in the West, but in the rest of the world too, including Palestine. Excellencies, the answer to all acts of violence motivated by religious hatred is solidarity, equality, and respect for the equal dignity. We should take all measures necessary to combat direct and indirect forms of discrimination and attacks against places of worship and persons on the basis of their religion or belief. We all need to build resilience to discriminatory, exclusionary, and intolerant policies and develop respect for the religious and cultural practices of others. Any form of discrimination, including Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and any discrimination based on religion or belief is unacceptable and must be condemned. Each of us has an individual responsibility to be vigilant, call out any injustice we witness, and condemn intolerance, incitement, harassment based on religious belief. The Alliance is a crucial forum to demonstrate that many countries share the same vision and ready to change the current international system into a better one. Now, we need to implement our action plan to realize the potential of Alliance. We can focus on the root causes of the problems by creating working groups and regional forums. This needs enhancing financial capacity as well as structural mechanisms. We should increase the visibility of the Alliance. We need to transform the Alliance into a soft power tool to serve as a bridge to the networks of religious and faith-based organizations. We will discuss all these concrete steps in the following meetings. Excellencies, distinguished guests, it is incumbent on all of us to stand for justice and coexistence. Let us take this forum as an opportunity to renew our call for ending the vicious cycles of misperceptions, hatred, violence, and conflict. Let us recommit to stopping the bloodshed. Let us resort to dialogue to build peace. Turkey is ready to extend its firm support for all efforts to this end. Thank you.
Uma aliança para a
An alliance for peace. Yes, thank you very much to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Türkiye. Now, I will be giving the floor to the High Representative for the Alliance of Civilizations, the Undersecretary General, Miguel Ángel Moratinos.
Bom dia.
Good morning.
Republic of Portugal, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, His Majesty King Felipe VI, Secretary General of United Nations António Guterres, Minister of Foreign Affairs of European Union Cooperation of Spain, José Manuel Álvarez, and Minister of Foreign Affairs of Türkiye, Hakan Fidan. Your Excellencies, friends, religious leaders, dear youth, it's a pleasure and a privilege to welcome you to the 10th Global Forum of the United Nations Alliance of Civilization. I greet and congratulate the President and the Government of Portugal, and particularly my dear friend, the Foreign Minister of Portugal, Paulo Rangel, as well as the Mayor of Cascais, Carlos Carreiras, for welcoming us with the well-known Portuguese hospitality. My dear friends, 20 years ago, President Zapatero, who is here with us today, gracias, Presidente, por tu visión.
Thank you very much for your mission and project.
Delivered his first speech to the international community and announced the need for an alliance of civilization to defeat extremism and terrorism spreading across the world. Thank you, Mr. President, for your support and for your full-looking vision. You will remember that the international community was traumatized by multiple terrorist attacks. And everyone will remember what was then called the war against terror. In response to this mantra, the government of Spain, immediately supported by the government of Türkiye, led by President Erdogan, decided to bet on a new approach to defeat terrorism. Two elements were and became central to the alliance of civilization, which aimed to oppose the foretold prophecy of a clash of civilization. The first was to offer a collective response, one from the entire international community, in order to adopt a shared response to violent extremism. The second response was an element consisting of addressing the root causes of the problem, focusing on the reason of those attacks. That was the beginning of the alliance, and the proposal from our dear friend, the first High Representative of the Alliance, President Jorge Sampaio, was centered, you remember, on prevention, to build society free from extremism and violence. My dear friends, today we met in Cascais, 20 years later, and we must evaluate our work and action. On a positive note, we can say that the alliance has become institutionally consolidated and now is an integral part of the United Nations system. The group of friends has expanded worldwide and currently has 160 members. Our project has multiplied, moving from mediation to prevention, and strengthening intercultural and interreligious dialogue, and protecting religious sites, as well as fighting all forms of discrimination, whether it be anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, Christianophobia, anti-Hinduism, or any action that undermines the free and secure exercise of one belief and faith. However, we must recognize with humility and objectivity that many of the challenges that led to the creation of the alliance are still present today. We must ask ourselves critically why we have not made more progress in our strategy to eliminate terrorism and violence within our societies. Let me be very clear and honest with all of you. The approaches and proposals of the alliance have not always been prioritized. Our efforts have been limited to your human and financial capacities. Today, we find ourselves once again in certain areas facing what some call the war on terror. This obsession with achieving absolute security fails to learn of the lesson of the past and could lead us to repeat the same mistake. In response to this attitude, I ask myself, what are the defenders of peace? As the Portuguese Nobel Prize José Saramago described in his novel Blindness, he I quote, and say, "Fighting has always been more or less a form of blindness," end of the quote. My dear friend, this is the first task we must undertake, to open our eyes and understand that the relentless pursuit of security alone will not bring long-lasting peace. This obsession with security will not solve the problem. We have to accept that today, on the other hand, is a multiple polar world. After many different historical periods, we now agree that no civilization is superior to another. We live in a world of multiple cultures, religions, and civilization. And my dear friend, the Roman philosopher Seneca once said, "If one doesn't know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable." This is the question. What is our destination? What is our destiny? What's exactly our vision of the society of the future? It is a society of segregated, unequal, and stereotyped community? Or on the contrary, is a society vibrant, inclusive, and just society that defends human rights and protect the dignity of all citizens? My answer will be very simple. We need to create an alliance for peace, as we already proposed at the last forum in Fez. It's not enough to want peace. Peace must be built day by day across all areas. The Alliance is ready to carry out our concrete proposal to put an end to violence and extremism and to eliminate wars in the 21st century. The physicist Albert Einstein pointed out that peace cannot be achieved through force. Peace can only be achieved through dialogue and understanding. Security at all costs don't lead to peace, but peace may lead to collective security. To achieve peace, we must accept our diversity and put on the international agenda. The alliance of civilization is the best guarantee to strengthen respect among identities, culture, religion, and civilization. The United Nations already prioritized the conservation of the flora on Earth and fauna on Earth. Of course, biodiversity needs to be protected. But then, what about human diversity? Why not also defend humanity, different culture, religion, and identity? So, my friend, the time has come to elevate the defense and protection on cultural diversity within the UN framework has come. My dear friends, Secretary General of the United Nations, António Guterres, recently stated in Colombia that, I quote, Secretary General, "We need to make peace with nature." And he added, "And we need to make peace among ourselves." This is what we are trying to do here today in Cascais, make peace with such of others. The alliance of civilization is the best platform to establish peace among global actors. I would like to finish with a quote from the great Luís Vaz de Camões, the 16th century Portuguese poet, who wrote, "No mar tanta tormenta."
In the ocean, so many storms, and so many times we have seen problems. And on the oceans, there's so many problems where we can where we can see the problems on Earth. The ocean, the life can be short, but in the oceans, mankind is very small. That is Luis de Gomos.
Human being, where can they find a settle? Yes, a weak humanity. Where can it take refuge? Only in a common house. Only in a place where we cannot live in peace and security. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Miguel Ángel Moratinos, Undersecretary General and High Representative of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, for your leadership and your vision. This concludes the opening segment of the program. Please join us in applauding the distinguished speakers as they leave the stage.
Agradecemos aos...
Thank you very much to the speakers. This opening ceremony, however, is not yet over. We are now going to be opening the second stage of this opening ceremony. Some other speakers are going to be coming to the podium in order to give some statements on the occasion of the 10th Global Forum of the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations.
Ladies and gentlemen and distinguished guests, welcome to this next segment, Special Reflections. The forum is both a celebration and a moment of reflection, as we look back with pride and we look forward with determination, as we work to restore trust and reshape the future through dialogue, collaboration, and collective action. Without further ado, let us begin with our distinguished lineup of speakers in this segment. It is my profound honor to invite to the stage Her Excellency President Vaira Vika-Friberga, President of Latvia from 1999 to 2007. Madam President. We stay. I think so. Or we exit. I think we stay. Yes.
Excellencies, dignitaries in all your titles and capacities, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before in all your titles and capacities, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before in all your titles and capacities, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before in all your titles and capacities, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before in all your titles and capacities, ladies and gentlemen, I stand before